Now it looks like there's audio. I don't know why it was not doing that before. I don't trust the internet stream thing. Okay. I hear myself. That's good. Greetings. I am just going to actually close the project in 2.2. I don't know how I officially update. I've had the beta installed for like 4 months now, and I don't know how I officially update. Greetings to everybody who is here. Do I just have to do I have to reinstall the entire IDE? How's this gonna work? Did the stream really just freeze already? I cannot tell if it's actually going. Well, we'll pretend that it is. All right, let me log in here. And I need an authenticator code of some sort. And now I have to figure out how to update. Do I just have to, is that still the beta? Current version 2.3.0529, that's probably it. Okay. I see the viewer number just dropped off like a rock as soon as I actually started streaming, which is a little bit peculiar. But I have other worries I need to juggle right now, such as if this thing is going to behave. Downloading this is going to take a while I'm also streaming, isn't it? Yeah, sorry that this thing was public for like 10 minutes before I actually sat down at the computer. I created the stream and then I walked away and then I hit save and walked away, and the default setting for streams is public, and I did not set it to unlisted until I got back. And then I came back and I saw people were already here, and I was like, I better hurry up. Okay. We've got a slightly different logo now, which is nice. Let's see, I should probably uninstall. Yes, please and thank you. And that was a lot faster than I'm used to it going, uninstalling. Let's see if it installs just as fast. It's going. I'm also going to now that I know it's actually working, throw this stream link on the social media. That is almost installed already. That's faster than I'm used to installing. It works. Yours works, Ratchet, or mine? Or both? Ideally both. Okay, so that's done. Um, there is this push notification on my desktop, and I don't know what sent it, but it froze halfway through, and it's not going away. Like, can I kill it manually? Is there a Windows notification that I can kill? Oh, the stream works. Yes, that's always helpful. I see they've updated the splash screen for the first time in about 3 years. Yeah, there are random. I think there were 4 different images before, but they were the same 4 images for about 3 years. I think if I go to I should be able to find them in here, the splash images. Will the new features, what will you be able to teach now that you couldn't before? I have a whole playlist dedicated to 2.3. There are other things, the ones that I've already done. Why is there an 180 megabyte text log here? Will Notepad even be able to open that? I feel like I should just be able to delete that and move on. Alright, well, the first thing that I'm going to do is do a nice little new branch over here for 2.3 just in case, because that is something you should always do. While that's running, Notepad is not having a good time. The stream is buffering apparently, and I have crashed Notepad. Let me kill Notepad. Yeah, I have no idea what that text log is, but I don't think I need it since it's not even the current log. I was looking for the I want to say the splash screens are stored in one of these folders. I forget exactly. I messed with them once and just like stuck my own images in there, and they were like Dragonite fan art, and not of me, but of the actual Pokemon start page, and it was funny. The banner. These are the banner images. Those are the same. Those look like the demo projects. Okay, anyway. It's in the install directory. It might be. Let me open up this, which is what I want to do, and the beta forced me to manually create a backup, and it looks like the stable release is doing that also, which is good. I am going to I'm just going to append a 2.3 to the end, and I guess I will manually be moving the Git repository over. Is the stream buffering? YouTube is telling me that the stream is buffering, but it looks like it's running. And this is going to take like 5 minutes to convert, because there are how many lines of code in here? Not all of them are mine. There's a couple extensions, but there's like 70,000 lines of code in here. That is the actual game. Prior to updating, this would have had the buffering message just randomly went away. It's running, that's good. Well, both of those things are doing their things. Let's go into Splash. Were they in here? It looks like these are it. Yeah, these are new. Very nice. Okay. If I had to guess, the reason it's buffering is because there's a lot of computations running on my computer right now. There are 75,000 lines of code in here. Again, not all of which are mine, but that's going to take a minute to update everything. Someone on the subreddit asked if there's a way to manually consolidate scripts. Not that I know of. That was back in April when I was doing this. That was a good couple hours. It was just combining a bunch of math scripts into a single file. And I foresee an amount of that again. I can probably close some of these browser tabs as well. This would help. It's still going. How long ago? What was the timestamp on the stream when I started doing this? When I clicked convert. Computer, shut up. Do I have Do I have my computer volume muted? Because I accidentally unmuted the stream. Windows is muted. So how are all you doing? The next thing, the next big thing you've got to tackle in your game is collisions, but I need them to work because your game is going to be a racing game. Those generally rely on collisions, and I see the progress bar started moving. There we go. All right, so I remember in Duck Game there was a script that I had called instance of, and that is now an actual built-in function, and it was conflicting with that, and I had to rename it manually. So I'm going to ahead of time, and it's still doing that thing where it needs to resave every time you do a global search and replace. I'm going to take care of that one ahead of time before I even try to run the game. So instance of classic. I'm going to try to get away from using that entirely. But one thing at a time. So now... Ooh, you know what? Okay. I might... Yeah, I'm going to already need to revert that. So let me... That's annoying. These did not need to have that done too. And on that note, YouTube is not receiving enough video information to maintain a smooth stream. YouTube, it's really not something I can do anything about. Kind of. It probably kind of is, but like I can't magically make my internet connection better, and I don't feel like messing with the encoding settings further. All right, so I said I was going to move over the repository, at least for right now. So that's going to require that I relocate this. And that will be found in here. And this is going to be a bunch of changes. I'm just going to put oh my god in that commit message because that's about what it is. This is basically everything is now a new file or changed massively. Pretty much every single line of code in the game. That commit is going to take a while. While that's running, am I using self anywhere? I don't believe I'm using the self keyword anywhere. Yeah, that is just a string containing text. I still have all my configs, right? Good, I still have all my configs. Is it is it time to do or die? Should I just run the game? Alright, we're gonna run this and see what happens. YouTube is currently being very broken. Excellent. Are you guys still there? Did my computer just completely explode? Or at least my stream? Because the stream dashboard is like completely borked right now. Alright, well, this is gonna take a minute. How many lines of code got added during the migration? It would have added a few. I don't know how many exactly. For you, it is working fine. YouTube keeps complaining that like the encoding settings are not acceptable, and that's weird. This added 11,000 lines of code. Okay, well, some of those are going to go away as I tighten things up, but small steps. If this works on the first try, I'm going to be amazed. I was already amazed when it worked on basically the second try back in April, but this is a much more spaghetti project than that was. Greetings, Ratchet. Yeah, among other things, the stream dashboard has been telling me that I've been live for approximately 1 minute. Oh, static is a keyword. There are a couple places where I used static as a variable. I'm going to need to do something about that. This is going to be fun. Since there are no legitimate uses of the word static right now, I can just search and replace this to something else. How many uses of that? $89. How many in things other than comments? Or I should also select whole word only. You are stoked for 2.3. 2.3 is a fun time. Most definitely. 31 results of actual variables named static. That is a notes file, which I can exclude from the search. 30 results. Don't know if I want a global search and replace this. Let's put that in the corner there. And close the recent Windows thing since I basically never actually use that. I'm trying to think if there are any other new keywords that I might be using as a variable name or something similar. There might be a few dozen, 100 places where I use catch as a variable name. I don't remember. Alright, that is a part of a string. That is a part of a string. That is also part of a string. That is in a new member. I can do case-sensitive search. That'll make this go a little faster. 15 results. String. As far as this program is concerned, static is a variable that tells the game whether or not it should batch things together. And that is something I will need to change the vocabulary for. That should probably have parentheses around it just in case. All right, 3 more. Last one. There we go. Okay. I guess before I run it again, I might as well... So catch is not used as a variable anymore. That is a string. I don't think try is used outside of strings, like warning text. Throw is not used anywhere. What other new keywords are there? Is there new? That's probably going to pop up a bunch of time in strings. Yeah, like create new. Oh, not too many. Okay. Those are all the keywords I can think of. If there are more, I'm sure it will tell me. And it is now doing the fun. Oh, for one thing that I should do is update scribble. What do you think is a better idea, grouping models by texture or by vertex format? I would do vertex format and then under that do a subgroup for textures. I assume you bring that up because you want to batch them together somehow, and have as few that is the 2.3 version, have as few vertex texture swaps as possible. Most of the time, if you use a different vertex format, you also need to, if you draw something with a different vertex format, you also need to draw it with a new shader, which is also a batch break. I'm just gonna drop that in here. If it's not already, it might already be. Okay, that's already, I've already downloaded that one. I've seen it. I've seen situations where you draw different vertex format vertex buffers with the same shader work. That's not really a guarantee though that it'll work. So I need to get rid of that. Get rid of. I'm going to keep that around to get rid of this and update scribble. It is a little quiet again. I don't want to turn it up all the way because then it's going to sound bad, but I'll turn it up to 3/4. Is that better? I can add everything except the deprecated folder because I don't need the deprecated folder, I don't believe. Alright. This is still committing the changes from last time. Because basically the entire project was in the staging area. I almost might as well just like create a new repository, but now it's better. Okay. Did it import yet? It did. I wanna look back at the customize macros thing though, because I did note some changes there. I need to hash new line false, colorize sprites false. Because sometimes you just want to draw a new line. Okay, that is false by default now. Sometimes you just want to draw a new line and draw a hash sign without having it do that, without having to escape it. Shell script flashbacks. In a good way or a bad way? I mean, obviously a bad way. That was a dumb question. How so? What part? The scribble thing or? Anyway, most of those, okay. It's also taking issue with the collada loader, which is honestly not a big deal because I really haven't been using the collada loader. So I can just get rid of that and replace it some other time when I feel like making it work. Oh, the SH is in like shade or scribble, whatever. Where was it? Up here? Oh, it's SHD scribble now. Duplicate case statement found. I really don't want to deal with this right now. Auto type has changed, hasn't it? I'm going to comment this entire thing out, and that will be something that I deal with later. And the same for auto type finish. So the scribble preview tool is going to need some work later. No single mesh description formats? You mean like a universal file format for 3D objects? For binary ones? Well, and it's still going. The problem with that is that every system that uses 3D objects has different needs. And also, where is it? Also this is how it tends to go in computers. It's gotten farther without breaking this time. Or at the very least, it's taken longer to break this time. Stream analytics is completely broken. That's very okay. You do that, YouTube. You do that. Okay, so .day. .collada. I should probably find everywhere where that is used and get rid of it, at least for now. You're still doing the FBX parser thing. If you ever get it, definitely let me know, because that would be very helpful for a lot of people. This can all get commented out. I can also, instead of just returning, I can say... I can actually do that, although I could have done that before. Where was the other one? What was the actual thing it was complaining about? It was in stuff create line something, 186. probably going to give up on that since it's a scene format and not a model format. You'd love for SMF to have FBX support because then you can do bone and weight painting in Blender. Yeah, I forget if to make an SMF exporter for Blender, maybe. I forget if I was having this conversation with you or with Ratchet or with Sorkinex or with someone else. FBX is a proprietary format and it's not exactly something that you can just look up the spec of on like a blog somewhere. It belongs to Autodesk and they are a little bit cagey about people getting access to it. Like you generally need to pay them money for it. Blender is kind of a special case because that's like the be all and end all open source 3D model tool. But it's not an open format the way something like Collada or OBJ is, and it's running. Okay, there is nothing in the recent projects list because it is going to a different folder in the local storage, and okay, it finally committed. That was like, oh my god, is right. That took I want to say about 10 minutes for that one commit to run. Someone just reverse engineered it. Yeah, I heard the Blender import and export for FBX is like complete and utter chaos because they did have to do something weird to make it work. There are only 133 changes staged this time. Let's say build instead of compile, since compile makes it sound like YYC. Speaking of YYC, they wrote down some of the overall structure for FBX, but not what each node actually does. Are the nodes technically useless now? No. The math is still math, code is still code. There's just a bunch of things that have been added, essentially. And all right, let's see how far I can go. So if I were to, for example, select a region and fill it with tiles, that still works. Okay, cool. If I were to drag in, for example, one of Kenny's things. And Dylan McGinnis, give me a minute and I will go into further detail on that after I see if this works or not. I'm just looking for like a tree model or something. Sign will work. So I've imported that. I can scribble. Fonts should be specified using their name as a string. What did I type in? I don't know what I typed in. Okay, that's interesting. That may or may not be a new bug. Okay, so while that's running again, Collada may have skinning data, but you're not sure. I'm pretty sure Collada can contain animation data. I've messed with the .day importer for like a half hour, the Jujuro. I don't know if his actually takes into account animation data. I don't know if I were to export a Collada file and re-import it, if the animation data would still be there. I don't really know enough about 3D animation or anything to like poke that properly. Okay, here we go. Okay. It looks like when that's an empty string, it breaks. They can contain armatures. It would be weird if they can contain that, but not like the entire animation data. Anyway, to go back to the question about 2.3 stuff, like as you can see, this is all working. I imported this a half hour ago. If I were to just open up like a 3D something script, because that's what I spend a lot of time doing, this is all still the same. Things like vertex submit and sprite get texture and vertex formats and stuff. The main changes that you're going to see are that things now need to be wrapped in functions. All the other stuff is really kind of, you could spend the rest of your life using GMS 2.3 and not even need to know about. If you run code and scripts outside of functions, you will get unexpected effects, such as the code running instantly as soon as the game starts. That's the main thing, though. So, getting back to, where exactly did that error happen? Scribble set starting format. Was that here? Okay, has this changed? If I go to... Yes, my main object is called stuff, don't judge me. If I go to draw line 18, that is alarm 0, that is not draw. If I go to draw line 18, no, line 32, it looks like I am missing an argument. And the argument list should be font name, font color, and text horizontal align. I'm not missing any arguments. That hasn't changed. Oh, it needs to be a string. Okay, that has changed. I see. I want to make an updated video to using Scribble because so much has changed. But the problem is that stuff keeps changing, and if I do it now, it's going to be outdated in another 3 months because Jujo keeps fixing stuff and refactoring things and moving things around. So I kind of have to wait until he's mostly done with it. Did I make an entire 3D thing in GMS2? Kind of. Collada can contain skinning data. Does SNF import Collada? I don't remember off the top of my head. Okay, also, I believe what this was, let's see if this is finished committing. This is actually finished committing now. I believe what this error was the tooltip. So if I hover over something for an amount of time, fdefault12 is not recognized. All right. Where is Scribble initialized? Also, is this, our config names, why is this red now? I don't know why that is highlighted in red. That is, as far as I know, just a variable and a config name. Where was I? Where is it initialized is what I want to know. It is just fdefault, not fdefault12. Anyway, yeah, Mr. McGinnis, 3D is kind of like my thing. I like 3D. I also like game dev tools, and this thing kind of merges those in a number of ways. SMF does not support Collada. Is the SMF tool officially open source, or is Snyder still keeping that one under wraps? Because Juju Adams did write that Collada loader. And I'm sure Snyder would not mind if somebody offered to insert that into SMF or something similar. Now tooltips are working. Excellent. Let me bring this in, the signpost thing, 32. Rotate the up axis because Blender. Oh, I should probably also have a apply rotation button somewhere. But that is no matter. I did not want that tile. I was looking for something resembling grass. And perhaps dropping down a mesh in the form of the signpost. All right, very nice. Context menu is kind of broken, which is fine. That is being drawn with the texture, which is not really what you want, but yeah, that works. It's kind of cool. Juju's Collada loader is... I just sent this to someone else this morning. It should still be in my internet history fairly recently. Here we go. That is one of the things that I removed from this project about 10 seconds ago. Since it was not playing super nicely with 2.3. What's this? Oh, that's like a temple block thing. There are trees in this Kenny asset collection, right? Tree oak. That'll do it. If I were to come back here, I could add one of those. Is lighting turned off? Lighting is turned on, but it is uniform, and there is no lighting set up. Tools as in 2.3 or this thing I'm making now? This thing I'm making now is only usable on Windows. There's a bunch of like Windows API things that I use that do not work on Mac. If I turn the ambient light down, something like that. Add an effect for light in the form of a point light. That's nice. I like point lights. The white screen. White screen as in... Sir? I am not sure what you are asking. This is a thing I made. This is a set of game tools that I made. All of these. Anyway, I see all that is working, which is what I came here to test out. Can I test out like other things? Yeah, it appears that everything is still working. Greetings, Indie Punch. I'm trying to, as was with the case with Duck Game, it seems that everything is more or less working out of the box once I got it to compile, but I'm sure whenever I start like using structs for things instead of instances is where things are going to start to get weird. This whole UI system is kind of the precursor to Emu that I rewrote when I made Emo for 2.3, and I don't know if I want to try and make it use actual Emu because it is so spaghetti right now, and making it play nicely will probably take several weeks. And even then, in the future, I'm going to have a lot of interesting errors happening. Let's see. This is if sequences had been a thing about a year earlier, this would be entirely sequences and not anything here. I basically wrote a sequence system like a year before they actually gave us sequences, and that was a lot of work that I wish I could have just not done by using something like sequences, but such is life. Where's if I want to make this like jump in the air or something, I want ease out, quad, and then, for example, what is that, frame 15, frame 31. I can put it back on the ground, and that would be ease in, quad. Let's see, is there a repeat button? This was converted. This was being worked on in 2.2 for like a year and a half, and then today I decided, okay, 2.3 hit stable release. I'm going to try and make it work, and so far it's working. This thing over here that I've got has been in 2.3 for a while. This was converted a while ago, and it's mostly working. This was just today. Do you mean where with screen sizes less than the window size, it would kind of offset funny? Yeah, that's been fixed. I have yet to do the yo-yo compiler again for the fixed version of Penguin, because that would have taken like a half hour, and then I would have had to thoroughly test it, and I wanted to get to streaming. But I did upload a few fixed versions since you told me about that. What else did I want to look at? There's also the matter of this this fancy terrain editor. I imagine this is going to basically do exactly what it did before. I still want to make this a little smoother. And, like, ideally more optimized, but that is a matter for another day. This appears to be working. Spotlights, point lights rather. This is a spotlight. Oh, I did not set up the IDE for the UI for spotlights yet. Let's see, what other things are there that I would want to investigate? The game data editor. This is just all UI. I imagine if the rest of the UI is working, this is working too. I can probably move the particle demo thing out of out of the beta thing now. It doesn't appear to be working though. Is it actually being drawn where I want? Set region. That's interesting. Was that working before? Did that break in 2.3, or did that break previously and I did not notice? I know it's going because the frame rate drops. All right, I'll have to investigate this. In fact, let me go to GitHub and like make a to-do list Let's see, what is there? There is Particle Lab. Things aren't actually drawing. There is Scribble Autotype stuff and possibly other things, but I think that's mostly it. Speaking of which, yeah, this is 2.3. Since I started talking about that and never went back to it. Moth Buddies. Okay, that's a little bit of weird alpha blending. There's also the actual this thing. Okay, this works, but I imagine Autotype will not be, since I commented out that entire thing. Yeah, that works somehow. What was the other thing? Alright, I'll leave that up here in case I find more things, and by that I mean when I find more things. So if you want to get into fun things, instead of just like what's working, what's not, the first thing that I generally like to do is, one, get rid of all of the empty folders in the UI. And then I can do that. And then there's the matter of like merging all of these math scripts into a single thing. Poor Juju, yeah, I know, he's been kind of maintaining twice as many systems as he was a month ago because a lot of his extensions are needing to be changed with 2.3. All these math scripts. For the life of me, I don't know why I bothered to have like bitwise pack and unpack, but there's a lot of code that uses it, so I don't want to just get rid of it. I guess I can start with that. How do I even want to... I'll prefix them with group, I guess. How can I check the size of a buffer in bytes after you compress it? Is that something you should do? Depends on what you're doing. There is buffer get size, which is the size of the buffer in bytes. Buffer size of is the size of a data type. And what else is there? I believe vertex buffers have equivalents. Vertex buffer, vertex get size. Vertex get number would be the number of vertices. Vertex get buffer size, depending on what you're doing. Vertex get number would be the aforementioned number of vertices in the buffer. Increasing the font size, speaking of. Let me open these in here. And turn 29 lines of code into something less. I don't think there's actually a problem with 24 or more arguments in here. I'm pretty sure bitwise functions return int32s. But with that said, I will change that to a throw. And I think everything else can stay the same. Let me actually not... Let me actually not use the keyword int, just in case that becomes a keyword later, because that would be annoying. Okay. What kind of game am I making? This is not so much a game as it is a game tools. I can delete those now. This is not so much a game as it is just game tools. The game that I am actually making, that I had up a minute ago and closed, is Ducks plus Wizards. You are a duck and you are also a wizard. I like wizards and ducks. Okay. Alright, that's gonna run. I should just like... That is a different duck wizard for something else. I should just like take a screenshot of that when it runs and save it to Paint so I can just bring it up whenever someone asks. Does GMS2 seriously not support bits-wide operators on bits higher than 24? It does. I'm pretty sure the comments that you are referring to, or the show error or whatever in here is incorrect. Something that I wrote in like 2017 and carried over ever since. Where did it go? Oh, here. I'm pretty sure if you were to do like type of like that, it would return an int32. I don't remember though. And in any case, I've clearly not tried to pack more than 24 bits together since writing that, because I don't know. Anyway, this is Duck Wizards. And the game runs. And let me actually hang on. Let me see what happens when I try to load the actual files. Those are currently in local storage in here. So if I were to copy them in, that'll take a moment. Player collision. So you all want to know a secret? And that is that I don't actually do anything with collisions. This is a grid-based game. Moths. I'm just going to print screen that and throw it in Paint. This is a grid-based game. There is like a grid of cells. Player can walk between them. But there's no collision detection going on other than, is there something here in this bucket, or is there not something here? I don't know anything about collisions. That's a little bit of an exaggeration. There's 3D collision systems that I use. But for regular like 2D collisions, I don't know anything about collisions. Not nearly as much as I should anyway. I know about like rectangle overlap tests and point overlap tests, but it's been quite a while since I've used built-in like collision point, collision rectangle, and that sort of thing. What else was I doing? Data structures. I can merge these. Let's create a script. Okay, that is it. That is a collection of helper scripts. And let me dive into this one next. DS map to list sorted. There is a bug with instance place meeting. Is there actually? That's a bit of an important thing to have a bug. You might want to get on that, Yo-Yo. This is like the highlight of my day, is combining a bunch of short scripts into a single file of code. Buffer read buffer, which is just a glorified buffer copy. Buffer read string, which is something old and messy that I used to do. Is this even used anywhere? Can I get rid of this? Finally? I can get rid of this. This isn't used anywhere. Good. Is buffer write string used anywhere? I'd also like to get rid of that if I still have it. I can get rid of that. Excellent. Buffer sets pixel, which is a fun time. Buffer write buffer. Again, that's glorified buffer copy. Buffer write sprite, which is a glorified buffer copy plus some other things. DS list clear instances. Fun for the whole family. DS list clone, which is a shorthand for DS list copy. Destroy instances. Destroy instances indirect. DS list pop. Sort fast. Oh, that's merge sort. Do I even use that anywhere? In GML, that's unfortunately not as fast as you'd really like it to be. Sort by internal name. I can do some interesting things with 2.3 with some of these functions now that that's out. That might make things a little bit more elegant. DS map to list. How do I not get overwhelmed by all the code? It gives me mental breakdowns when you just start hitting the thousands of lines. Build up an immunity? Is that a dumb answer? Obviously, you don't want to just go sit down one day having never written code before and just bang out 1,000 lines. You want to build yourself up to it. I've been writing code for a while. This is probably... I am probably not someone you should talk to if you've like never seen code before and you want to know what it's like, because like one, this is messy, I guess, because I've, as you can see from the quality of some of this, a lot of this is like accumulated over the years, and sometimes I go through it and write things better. Yeah, regions exist, those help. Sometimes I go through and write things better, but a lot of the times it just accumulates. It's not so much of a question as just how I admire how deftly you manage all of this. Oh, like A-Loop said, regions exist. So if you want to make it easier to navigate your code, you could enclose them in regions. Like since there's a bunch of different kinds of data structures in here, you could say, if I can get to the top, region, DS list stuff, and then farther down there's a DS map section somewhere. And then I forget what the keyboard shortcut is, but you can collapse all regions in a file of code like this, which is helpful for organization. There's also Control F to find things is pretty useful. So if you want to search for a specific thing in a file of code, you can Control F to search, or Control Shift F to bring up this thing to search your entire code base, so you can find something. Control T is useful if you want to find a specific resource. Like if you want to search all of your drawing scripts, you can search that in here or something like that, which can be helpful. If you ever need to go to a specific line of code, there's Control G, but that's not something that's really useful if you're trying to find something, as much as if you're just trying to, if you know what you're looking for and you just want to get there. Changing the color of text every now and then helps. Yeah, how so? Do you mean like using different colors for different kinds of keywords and stuff instead of using the same color for both scripts and built-in functions or that sort of thing? If I go to preferences, I think it's in text editor's code editor, you can set all the colors for all the things. So there's like functions and script names, which currently use the same value, but if you wanted to, you can make functions like a darker orange or something like that to make them stand out a bit. And now you can see there's a difference. That is what you're talking about. Yeah, if that helps you separate things. I'm trying to think of a color that isn't like used for something already. If it helps you to visually separate things, you can definitely do that. See, I'm so used to the default color that that this looks weird now. Something like red would be a constant value, like a macro or a built-in constant or something like that. Something like blue would be a deprecated function, which is gonna like give me a heart attack every time I see it, because I'm gonna think, did they get rid of buffer read or something like that? You can do that. I am probably going to try and reset the default. Can I reset the default? What is the color code for this? Let's put that back to what it was. There we go. Yeah, if you find that helpful, you can definitely do that. You made your encryption script, but it's not as good as it could be. Control T is useful. Yeah, Control T is great. In old GameMaker before Studio 2, it was like Control, I want to say R or something like that, and you had to, it worked, but it was like barely useful because you had to type in the name exactly, otherwise it wouldn't find it. But now it's very useful. If you want to just search any particular resource type or scripts by the things that they do or that sort of thing. Hey Lou, did Juju do an encryption thing also? I can't remember. As a general rule, the answer to the question, did Juju make a thing, is usually yes, but I can't remember if he specifically did encryption. Was he the one who was doing like SHA-256 stuff? That's hashing, not so much as encryption, but I do not see any encryption things on Juju's GitHub. Otherwise, you can always check the community GitHub org, and it'll there's probably going to be something there. Okay, enough of that. Let's see. Oh, he was already helping you? Yeah, that's the sort of thing he would do. Getting back to, oh yes, array length 1D, an old favorite of mine. And by that I mean, God, I can't wait to get rid of them. Alright, first, I'm gonna deal with that later. First, let's, Alright, so this is where folding all regions may not have been helpful. I wish there was an easier way to convert an array to a DS list, or a DS list to an array. These must be really old, this code here, because these don't even have Wait, is there no built-in array clear? I thought there was. I thought there was a built-in array clear. That one has a named argument. This is going to be surface buffer. I thought there was, I thought this had a built-in function too. Guess not. Oh, this one's going to be good. Can I get rid of this? Is this used anywhere? That is not used anywhere. Why does the help manual open in the browser? It's funny. Yeah, it used to open in the IDE, but I like the fact that it opens in the browser now. If you hit F1 on a function or whatever, I like the fact that it opens in a browser instead of in the IDE, because in previous versions, when I would try to open something in the IDE, it would be like insanely slow. I would hit the button, I would hit F1, I would like get up and go take my dog for a walk, and then I'd come back and it would still be loading. And half the time it just wouldn't load at all. And now that they've changed it to just use your browser, I find that it's much faster. But I've seen a lot of people saying that they don't like this change. They liked it when it was in the IDE instead. I guess when it's a tab in the IDE, you could like configure it. You could drag it around. You could use it like a regular workspace. And when it's a browser, it's another program running. But I find it much easier to use here, and I'm interested that so many people don't seem to like this so far. Is it a good idea to have all model textures in a single sprite and just index them using sprites get texture? Ratchet, do you mean like texture atlasing? I don't have it open here. Do you mean like texture atlasing? Do I have an example? Probably just somewhere, right? Tiled. Don't worry, GML files is not where this is actually kept. It's kept in a Git repository on my C drive. Do you mean something like this? This is what I do for the sake of avoiding texture swaps. If you wrote code, you could probably like not have to do manual texture atlasing and just use sprites get UVs, like you said. I also find it easier to just have everything in one place here, so that like if I'm looking for an image, it's just there and I don't have to hunt for it. But that's just me. Where was I? I was getting rid of buffer points complete because that was back before I knew how to properly extract information or stick information into vertex buffers. So that is 40 lines of code that I no longer need. By the way, if I were to go back to the unedited version of this, how many scripts are in here? Buffer sets pixel. You meant more having all of the textures be different sub-images in the same sprite. Oh, yeah, GameMaker will atlas your sprites for you. If you've ever, I assume you've done this before, but if you've ever gone to Tools, Texture Groups, and then you've looked at the texture for a particular group, if I can find it, I don't know where it is. Okay, that's not working. There should also be a preview button, and you could see exactly what it looks like. Sprite sum images are put on the same texture as each other, unless you hit separate texture page, in which case they all go on a different texture page. You always use external textures and reference them in a DS map. Textures are one of the things that there's a lot of ways that you can do, but each way has its own best practices. I've got to zoom in on my browser to read that name. Okay, that was just a matter of time. Hello, Ayumu Aikawa. Hello. Sprite add. It will add exactly like a sprite. Yeah. The super stupidly overcomplicated way that I do is I keep all my sprites in a single file and just buffer copy them out. And then turn the sprites into a surface, and then turn the surface into a turn the buffers into a sprite, and turn the surfaces into a I messed that one up. Anyway, yeah, I overcomplicate things. I'm gonna stop myself before I say anything dumb. I'm gonna I'm gonna rename that as source rather than original, because original sounds like it's gonna get like changed or something. Buffer read sprite. Buffer sets pixel. Didn't I already do that? Oh, I did. I just got scrolled up. All right, so this is to and from are literally the best words I can come up with there for these. There we go. How can you do pixelated graphics? Yeah, what Ratchet said. So what a lot of people do when they do pixelated games is like have the game window be 1280 by 720 or 1920 1080 whatever, and scale up all their art, but that's kind of leads to a couple problems, such as the computer doing more work than it really has to, and also depending on how you do it, you could get different like texture aliasing issues. So if you do what Ratchet said and turn the like the view in the game down to a small viewport like 320 by 240 or whatever, and then scale it up after everything has been drawn, you avoid most of those issues. I think it was Pixelated Pope. Let me see if I can find something. I think it was Pixelated Pope who did a deep dive into like how the best way to scale art would be. If you do 3D, that all breaks down. Ha! Yeah, about that. Where is did he do it in the camera video? Was it part of the camera video? It might have been this. GMS2 cameras as simple as possible. I will link that in the stream. In case you want to have that for future reference. You could upscale your art to a 2D game if you also manage the movement. Yeah, that's one of the problems that comes with scaling up your pixel art, in addition to visual effects that may be undesirable. But yeah, the usual solution would be to have the game drawing onto like a 320 by 180 surface, viewport, whatever, and then scaling that up as the application surface when you draw it in the draw a GUI event. I don't know why I opened Photoshop for that. I'm not actually going to try to demonstrate that. Unless you'll want to see a visual aid for that. I don't need to do anything else to, there. I'm going to also put that in a region. And while I'm at it, the arrays can have their own region too. Lerping is in scaling sprites or as in things in 3D? I don't know exactly why you would want to do linear interpolation on graphics when you scale them. Although I suppose that's usually used for animation, in which case I don't know. I wouldn't think linear interpolation is the most useful tool in the box for scaling a game surface. Let's see. Thanks for the warning, past self. This doesn't really do anything special, it just makes DSL's copy slightly shorter. I leave the most unhelpful comments in some places in my old code, have you noticed? Oh, moving a game object. Has the conversation moved on? Or is Ratchet responding to something else? Anyway. I don't know why this returns a value. Is there anywhere in the game where this is needed to return a value? I guess it's not hurting anything. There is nowhere in the game where this is actually returning a value. I'm not going to bother with that, with returning a value. Oh, you mean it's like, it's not super useful when it comes to snapping to a grid or anything. Yeah. You could take the result of the lerp and round it, but at that point you might as well just use a different mathematical function. Use a different strategy for moving around. DS-list destroy instances indirect. That is quite a name. That is for the sake of avoiding what someone who is using a threaded programming language might call race cases. That I call my code is a mess. Should you put methods in the object in which they are used and nowhere else? Spamming methods has a very slight impact on performance, I found. It's not like you use a single object which has like a draw method or something like that, or a damage method, and your game is suddenly going to run slow, but if you use them too often, you might want to, instead of using a method, like put them in a section of common code that different objects call. But for the most part, the point of a method is to like belong to the object that's going to use it, in which case, yeah, you would probably want to do that. The Y makes the pronunciation of that a little ambiguous. Anyway, yeah, usually yes is the answer. It's, is this actually used? Can I get rid of this? DSList sort fast is not used anywhere outside of the script, specifically outside of the recursive calls to it, which is the monstrosity that is merge sort. So I'm gonna get rid of this. Actually, let me we're I'm gonna save that for future reference just in case. Rounding lurks can end up jittery. Yes, especially if you're moving by a very small value. Sometimes they can end up jittery. DSList sort internal. Oh, that actually was being used. Great. Let's keep the argument array there. I'm gonna not touch that for now. The argument array and the parameter list. My code is spaghetti. Alright, see ya, Aleb. Merge sort is fun. I kind of want to make a GameMaker video on using merge sort, but it's actually not as fast as you would hope due to the fact that GML is an interpreted language. Even the Yo-Yo compiler, it's not as fast as you would hope. The built-in DSList sort is still faster unless you're using a truly massive list. So maybe some other day. Out of curiosity, that is only used in here, which means I can make that an anonymous function. Hello, JavaScript, my old friend. That would be function list and index, and it would return something like that. What do I think of sleep sort? Is that another one of the fun ones? Is that like a better version of BOGO sort? The king of laziness, sort while sleeping. Is that just like leaving your computer running while you go sleep or take a nap or something? Is the goal of this even to actually sort something? Good job, Ratchet. Okay, anyway. Is this actually used anywhere aside from here? Because this might... Yeah, this is also a... This is also a helper function that can now be anonymized. Such as this. JavaScript. Okay. Your favorite sorting algorithm out of the 3 that I know? like bubble sort. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who actually likes bubble sort better than insertion or selection sort. The main reason for that is that it's the one that I can actually write without having to look it up. If I were using something other than GML, I would probably use merge sort, because I also basically know how it works. Quick sort is interesting. I've written a quick sort implementation in GML also, but it also doesn't really have the speed benefits over the the built-in DS-less sort, so I don't use it here. Alright, this is another one. These are all for like sorting lists based on the data that they contain, rather than just like is greater than or less than. I like how you've taken to calling GML JavaScript. Look, I made the joke last year when 2.3 was announced that GML wants to be JavaScript when it grows up, and that was my one good joke for the year, and I'm not gonna just give it up that easily. What was this? That was a list for when you should be using a stack but you don't want to. I wish data structures had iterators in GML. That would take care of the DS list top problem, because then you could just iterate over a stack. DS map to list, DS map to list sorted. Is there a reason I'm doing this instead of just calling DS map to list and then calling DS list sort? What does it even sort based on? Just the value? Can I get rid of this one? Okay, so the sole purpose for this is to alphabetize ascending, so that should be false. The sole purpose of that function was to alphabetize a list of error messages. And I don't care to do anything fancy there. Okay, so that has cut 400 lines of code down to about 250. GML is JavaScript light, yes. Definitely. There are some other items on the GML roadmap that would move it further in the direction of JavaScript. Things such as data structures as proper types rather than indices. Let me see if I can find that. While that's running, while we see if it succeeds or fails. Planned features not on the roadmap. All right, so these are the ones currently in progress. What were some of the other things? GML data structures as true data types. Okay, so that's the main one that would make it slightly more JavaScript-like, and accessor literals, which isn't strictly a JavaScript thing. A lot of languages have that, but would be nice. We've gotten it for arrays, and it would be handy to have for a DS list. Okay. It builds, which is nice. Let's see if it actually loads. Oh my god, it worked. Okay, that is very, very excellent. So I don't know if the person who was asking about 3D game editors is still here. This is a better representation of the whole thing. Since there's actually content in it now. Loading the old file. I wonder, would it save Am I brave enough to try saving also? I don't see why it wouldn't. Quack. I'm gonna call it Quack 2-3. You hope they don't have the JavaScript type system or dynamic type changing. Doesn't it already? You can create a variable and to contain like a number, and then you can reassign it to a string later if you want. All right, it's saved without crashing, and I assume since saving and loading is just data, if it works in the first place, the data will just be the same, and it'll work for any data. Exciting times. What do I want to do next? Oh, you know what? I can also get rid of the generics. The generics aren't used for anything now. Generics probably is not the best name for those. Let me include that in the last commit. Generics probably are not the best name for those. They're just kind of helpful anonymous functions. Greetings, facts, doxies, artsy stuff. Alright, I'm gonna zoom in on my web browser slightly more so that I can actually read without having to lean in. You change the resolution, but when you run your game, your camera goes up. I wouldn't know exactly what's going on there without looking at it, but I suspect mushing these together is going to be a chore. Make sure that your camera is using the same coordinate system as everything else, so that like your room may be like between 0 and 100, but your camera might be somewhere floating off, scaled up, so like 1600 or something. I don't know if that was extremely helpful, but I should think of a better way to describe that. Anyway, easings. This is probably way more easing functions than I really need, but can I change this? Can I change this initial script message? Oh, by the way, speaking of which, there were 2,276 scripts in here initially. Oh, if it's in 3D, just check your view and projection matrix settings to make sure the to and from variables are correct, the aspect ratio and all that. Oh, do you mean like it's rotating it's drifting when you move the mouse? So when you do mouse look in 3D, you should generally use what does that get? Width. You should use something like this for mouse look, since that will always check the dimension where the mouse is relative to the screen, in the middle of the screen, and after that you want to reset it to the center. Window mouse set, yeah. I keep doing that. That way it doesn't drift. If you're using something like mouse X and mouse Y, it might get weird if you change the view size in the game from just the window size to something else. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the tutorial uses window mouse get X instead of mouse X and mouse Y. Was it Ratchet who said that, or you? Or was Ratchet who said that? Anyway, when you do mouse look, you want it to be independent of the view size. You want it to be based on the window size. What else was I doing? Are these in order? I kind of want these to be in alphabetical order for no reason other than it makes them easy to find. Hang on a minute. Have I already done this? Easings. Okay, I can just copy and paste this in because this is the exact same code and I've already spent like a half hour pasting these in from before. There we go. You are using window get size. And I can close this. I can get rid of all of that. Let me run this just to make sure that still works. Found duplicate name. Where? And why? You fixed it. Okay. Yeah, anyway, my guess would be that it was probably something to do with the what exact mouse coordinates were being checked for the camera look. Is it gonna actually let me click on these to see what's going on or what? Did I copy these in twice? Oh, I copied them in twice. Okay, that's why. Crisis averted. We can try that again. You like to make the window resizable and set the aspect ratio and set the fixed aspect ratio or whatever it's called. Oh. Yeah, Gummy. I see you left a painful looking emote in the Twitch chat. And you thought I was talking to myself. At one point, I had the stream chat overlaid on this, but I think I disabled that. None of this is working. Okay, go away. That's it. What am I looking for? Animations? Okay, the easings are working. Hooray, the easings are working. Finally a duck game. Yes, ducks. I like ducks. Ducks. Pyrotechnic ducks. That is actually not how that's supposed to look. I'll deal with that later. It's supposed to. I don't know why it
I don't know exactly what happens to the object that carries fire data. There it did. But it's not on the screen. For a second you thought the duck was holding the staff in its beak. You should see the actually no, I was gonna say you should say the swimming sprite that is like halfway drawn, but in that the staff is kind of tucked under its wing instead of in its beak. Okay. Input validation. Ah, yes. Regular expressions. I don't know if I want to do those now. Transforms. Transforms should be easy enough. Alright, let's do some matrix shorthand. Is there even a point to this? Why do I honestly even do this? I don't feel like replacing those. Let's just do the matrix shorthand. Again, putting them in alphabetical order because I must do that. And then I can get rid of these. And this very much takes the same. I like not needing the js.comments for... I like not needing the js.comments for argument help anymore. They're nice in some places, but I like not having to have them all over the place. And... vector things. Again, some of these may not be used, actually. Add, multiply, normalize. Normalize is used. Is vector 4 used anywhere? Vector 4 is really not used anywhere. I don't even know why that was a thing. Oops. This is used, I imagine. Yeah, that's used all over the place. I may replace those with like 2.3-ish vectors at some point. But... oh, vector 2 isn't even used very often. Is there any reason to use a quaternion over just using rotations in matrix build? Gimbal lock. That's a word I know. I don't know exactly how you induce it or how you keep it from being induced, but gimbal lock, that's the main reason people use quaternions and 3D rotations. If you imagine something like a time turner with multiple spinning axes and two of the axes aligning, while they're rotating without any way to separate them, that's basically gimbal lock. and it is apparently rather annoying to deal with when you're trying to do various 3D transformations. Is spherical lerp something else that quaternions help with? Also, I kind of feel like this should be 2.3 eyes sooner rather than later. I might make that my first object-oriented thing that I add to this. At some point. Ah, there's a note in there for the Gmail update. Way to plan ahead. Okay, that is the quaternion library for GML. So I've been referencing this guy nonstop today. But Juju also did a quaternion library. There you go. I haven't actually looked into how it would be used. It's not something that I need since I don't do fancy rotations very often. But if you want quaternions, this is how you would do it. I wonder if he's going to update this now that it's now that 2.3 is out. I should ask him. Not that I want to give him any more work. Maybe I'll do it myself and create a pull request or something, but... Actually, since arrays are slightly faster than structs, he may wish to leave it like that since you generally want speed when it comes to 3D rotation objects. Anyway, let's just run this to make sure it still works. That I didn't leave anything in there that I didn't want. Did the grass regrow? The grass regrew. Glad that still works. Let's see. I was expecting to, while we're waiting, I was expecting to have more things on this board at the 2-hour mark for this live stream. I've gone through all of the different pages in the editor, and most of them are just working, which I am happy about. That's almost certainly going to stop being true once yeah, it's almost certainly going to stop being true once I start implementing structs and stuff, like I will right now. But since as I mentioned earlier, this code is very extremely spaghetti, I was expecting worse. I can get rid of that group of code now. Let's recommit that. Okay. So this is apparently used in a single place. And it's being fed into this function. And hang on. Having more space would help here. It's being fed into this function. Which is doing what? God, I can't wait to turn all of these callbacks into a into proper anonymous functions. This that's not applicable. This is also not applicable. I think. Yeah. Question that's always worth asking is this actually being called from anywhere? Which it is, so I can't just delete the whole thing. I can do that though. Let's not search shaders, because shaders have actual reasons to do that. Maybe I won't 2.3i's this right now, because this is going to be annoying and I don't want to bore people too much. I would make the assumption that people are here because they want to see code, but this is honestly just really going to be even more tedious than the other stuff. And then really, there is really no reason. I might have done this in anticipation of like 2.3 vectors, but there's really no reason to use a function for this instead of a, you came for the duck. That is valid. There's no reason to use a function to construct this rather than a just an array. Let's just turn that into an array literal. All right. In theory, that would be slightly faster than did I put that in the wrong place? In theory, this would be slightly faster than using the function because it doesn't have the overhead of calling the function, but in practice, I doubt it's going to be anything noticeable. Okay, yes, that's right. That was part of the function call that is no longer needed. All right, I was going to say. Get rid of that. And get rid of this. This is a very, very old screen space to world space script, which might in and of itself be worth changing to use something more similar to matrices, but not now. The game still works, right? The thing still works. I see people are beginning to not talk as fast as we were before, and to starting to leave the stream. And I've been doing this for about 2 hours, so that might be a sign that I should go do something else. That was in the wrong place. Let's try that again. I should do this more often. I keep saying I should do this more often, and then like letting like 3 weeks go by before I stream again. So we'll see how that actually works or doesn't work. I do prefer the pre-recorded YouTube things, because that feels like something with an objective that gets done. And when I stream game dev, it's more like I might get something done, or I might just talk to people about writing code for an hour and a half. Not 100% on what all this coded stuff even does. Not that savvy on the whole coding department. Is that... Wait, did I not hit the run button? I might have not hit the run button. Is that something you want to do, or just something you're like tangentially aware of as someone who does other things in games or something? I like code. Not everyone does. This is taking a long time. Did it always take this long? Because now that I'm aware that there's just like an entire minute of dead air on the stream while it's building, it feels a lot longer. I don't know if it always took that long or if it's just my imagination. You do want to do coding, but you find it hard to wrap your head around sometimes. Start with small things is the general advice. That's not something I especially do a lot of on this YouTube channel, because I do a lot of weird, elaborate... I should fix that context menu one of these days. I do a lot of weird, elaborate, like 3D stuff, but like first, just like get a guy to walk around a screen when you push a button, and then get it to interact with something when you like touch an object or a key or an enemy or something, and then go from there. Sean Spalding is particularly good when it comes to like how to get used to the mindset of writing code. I don't want to say beginner, because he also does advanced stuff. Game dev tutorial things. Didn't these buttons used to be rounded rectangles instead of square rectangles? I don't remember. You do lean more towards 3D stuff. Oh, in that case, you've come to the right place. I like 3D stuff. All right. I have done stuff with vectors. I don't remember what that stuff was. What else can I do? These two things should probably take their leave eventually. I don't like instance of checks. It feels like bad code. Those are there because they because it was the quickest solution for something that I hopefully wouldn't need to do often. But I would like eventually to get rid of it. Ah, yes, normalize and normalize correct. This is a fun story. So I wrote the normalized script, and it turned out to be slightly wrong. And then I didn't want to like just change it because there are other things that depended on that wrong behavior. and it's stuck ever since. This part in question, this line 16. Am I feeling brave? Should I just get rid of it? Again, we will not search in shaders for that. Where is it used? It is used in most of the easing scripts. I can always test that. I can just nuke it with source control if it breaks something. Let's Oh, normalize correct isn't actually used anywhere. Did I spell that wrong? I did. Alright, well, we will attempt that. And see if this hopelessly breaks anything. And if it does, I'll fix it off stream. If it doesn't break anything, then I'll just get rid of the alternate one. Is it done? All right. I don't know if that's a bug or not, where it rebuilds everything every time you do a global search and replace, but it's kind of annoying. I can't think of a better name for that. Looks like this takes about 45 seconds now. I guess it did add a lot of lines of code when it did the conversion, which I will hopefully eventually be working down to something else, but I don't know. I still feel like that's significantly longer than it used to be. Battery usage for GMS is very high, or power usage, since this is not a computer that has a battery, besides the little watts thing on the motherboard to keep time when it's turned off. All right. That was how long? It was a long time. And if I were to, where's the animation thing? If I were to look at this, all right, the one place in the game, the animations where it used the wrong normalize function seem to be fine. So I'm just going to give this the boot. All right, single pane. And get rid of that warning. I do not like the argument array, but it's better than trying to get around using the argument array. And all right. Come on, where's all the changes that it should be staging? GitHub desktop, there we go. All right, I think I will leave it there for today, rather anticlimactically. I don't know if how many people are still here, listening, watching, tuned in, and there are UV errors, which I cannot stand, which I should probably correct eventually. Meh. All right, thank you all for joining and dropping in and stuff. I may do this tomorrow. I will probably not do this tomorrow because that's just how things go when I say I'm gonna live stream stuff. I'm going to continue working with 2.3. If anybody is not aware, I have made a decent number of videos on the things that 2.3 has added to the programming language, the scripting language that you may be interested in. I may do others. I often like to do 3D stuff. And I've got to prioritize what I give my time to. Yeah, my name is Michael. I like making games and ducks and dragons and wizards and stuff. How do I usually end streams? I think I usually end streams by saying I don't remember how to do this, so I'm gonna go with that. Goodbye.